They told the alien girl to serve in silence. Then the human asked her to sit beside him instead. Kale's boots skidded on the obsidian-slick floor, the heat from the mineral veins beneath his worn soles a constant oppressive thrum. His wrists were cinched tight with plasma cuffs, digging into bruised flesh. The arena was a vast, cavernous maw, lit by the angry orange glow of lava flows that snaked through crystalline fissures. Chants echoed, guttural and rhythmic, bouncing off the jagged walls. A crowd of grotesque, multi-limbed elders, draped in ceremonial finery woven from rock spider silk, stared down from elevated platforms. Human, scavenger, you trespass where only the chosen may tread, one elder rasped, its voice like grinding stone. Kyle just spit. Chosen. Looks more like a fucking rock concert gone wrong. Where's the bar? He heard a low growl from beside him, a sound that rippled through the air, vibrating in his teeth. He glanced over. Her. Creature of impossible curves and sleek obsidian skin, luminous patterns shifting subtly across her form like captured starlight. She was restrained, too, bound in shimmering, almost invisible chains, her posture defiant even in subjugation. Her eyes, pools of molten gold, fixed on him, not with malice, not entirely, but with a predator's calculating assessment. The elders were addressing her, their voices a condescending chorus. Ziara, daughter of Ash, your defiance ends now. You will accept the binding. You will serve. Her head snapped up, a graceful, lethal motion. I serve no one, least of all your withered traditions. A surge of energy, raw and untamed, flared around her. Cal felt a jolt, a strange pull that went beyond the cuffs. He almost grinned. She had spirit. Feisty, huh? I like that in a woman, he muttered, mostly to himself. Her golden gaze flickered to him, a brief, sharp flash of curiosity, then dismissed him. The elder snarled, a sound of pure patriarchal fury. This human interloper will be your lesson, Ziara. His weakness will demonstrate the need for order. You will observe his fate. Kyle chuckled, a dry, sarcastic sound. My fate. Buddy. My fate usually involves a lot of swearing, property damage, and me somehow walking away with more credits than I started with. Don't hold your breath for a lesson. He felt a strange vibration under his feet. The arena itself seemed to pulse. The chains holding Ziara tightened, and a low moan escaped her lips. A primal sound. Kale's gaze narrowed. Something was very wrong here. This wasn't just a trial. This was a cage, and she was the prized beast they meant to break. And now, somehow, he was trapped in it with her. The air thickened with a strange, metallic scent, and the heat intensified, pressing in from all sides. He could feel sweat trickling down his spine, a cold premonition despite the sweltering heat of the lava-lit arena. You understand nothing, human. You are merely a tool, Ziara hissed, her voice a low, furious thrum, more vibration than sound. Her golden eyes burned, not at the elders, but at Kyle. You will serve my purpose, or you will be ash. Kyle snorted, trying to stretch his bound wrists. Look, lady, I'm a bounty hunter. I serve my own damn purpose, and it usually involves not dying in a giant lava lamp. You want a tool? Rent a drone. I'm a person, with a healthy aversion to being a prop in your family drama. He met her gaze, unflinching. Her skin patterns rippled, a visual sign of her agitation. She looked away, her eyes scanning the crowd of elders, then the arena floor, as if calculating angles. This is no drama, this is my blood right, my future, and you are an inconvenience. Her words were sharp, cutting through the heavy air. An elder bellowed, The cleansing! Let the trials begin! The ground shook violently, and a section of the obsidian floor slid open with a guttural groan of grinding rock. Steam billowed up, smelling of sulfur and something else, something metallic and organic like ozone and blood. Kale's stomach lurched. This wasn't just a verbal sparring match. This was something deadly. From the swirling mist, massive multi-jointed creatures, chitinous and razor-sharp, scuttled into view. They moved with a disturbing speed, their many eyes glowing with predatory hunger. Kyle estimated at least 5. His only weapon, his wits and whatever he could improvise. Oh, for fuck's sake, he muttered. Seriously? Giant space bugs? What, did you run out of actual, people to fight? Ziara was no longer looking at him. Her eyes were fixed on the creatures, a primal fury in her stance. Her chains remained, but she tensed, every muscle coiled. They are the Dreg Hunters, sent to test the unworthy. She sounded almost eager or resigned. Kyle didn't know which was worse. One of the creatures lunged, its forelegs snapping, aiming for Ziara. Kyle reacted on instinct, throwing himself forward, his bound wrists catching a flailing limb, deflecting it just enough. He felt the scraping of chitin against his arm, a searing pain, but he held on. "Hey, I'm still an inconvenience, remember? Don't let me die before I get to be useful," he yelled, pushing himself between her and the monster. Ziara watched him, a flicker of surprise in her molten eyes. Her chains held fast, but the intensity of her glare seemed to make the creature pause. Kale felt a jolt of pride. Maybe he could actually pull this off. Maybe. He just needed to survive long enough to figure out what the hell was going on and how to get out of it. And then maybe he'd find out why this beautiful, terrifying alien woman was looking at him like he was the most perplexing puzzle she'd ever encountered. The Dreg Hunter hissed, rearing back for another strike, and Kale knew he was about to get very, very acquainted with his own mortality. He braced for impact. The creature lunged again, its segmented maw opening to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth. Kale, still bound, twisted, using the Dreg Hunter's momentum against itself. He shoved, his shoulder slamming into its chitinous flank. The creature stumbled, letting out a screech of surprise. "You're slower than you look, Bugface," Kyle yelled, pain shooting up his arm from where the creature had grazed him. He glanced at Ziara, who watched his clumsy yet effective dance with a strange intensity. "What, no help from the local empress?" he barked, ducking another swipe. "Or are you just going to stand there looking pretty for your elders?" Her golden eyes narrowed. "My chains prevent, and my people do not interfere with the trials. Only the worthy survive." She sounded disdainful, yet her gaze was fixed on his every move. "Right. Worthy. Tell that to my ass when it's getting chewed on," Kale grumbled, rolling away as another Dreg Hunter closed in, flanking the first. 2 against 1, and he was cuffed. This was going to be a quick, ugly death. Then, Ziara moved. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, a ripple of energy. Her eyes glowed brighter, and Kale felt a pulse, a resonance in his own mind. He stumbled, disoriented for a second. Then he saw it. The Dreg Hunters hesitated, their movements faltering. It was as if a silent command had been issued, or a primal fear had been triggered. She wasn't freeing herself, but she was manipulating the beasts. "Hurry, human, they will recover," she commanded, her voice suddenly ringing with an authority that wasn't just physical. Kyle didn't question it. He saw his chance. He lunged at the nearest Dreg Hunter, grabbing one of its razor-sharp forelegs. With a grunt, he pulled, leveraging his weight. The creature shrieked, twisting its body. Kyle pivoted, using its own momentum to swing it, a living, squirming weapon, into its companion. There was a sickening crunch of chitin. Both Dreg Hunters recoiled, momentarily stunned. "See? We make a pretty good team," Kale panted, winded but exhilarated. He met Ziara's gaze. A flicker of something passed between them. Recognition? Curiosity? He didn't know. But the raw, dangerous energy she exuded was intoxicating. He felt a weird, primal urge, not just to survive, but to impress her. The remaining Dreg Hunters, seemingly unfazed by their momentary confusion, began to regroup, their many eyes glinting with renewed purpose. The elders above were murmuring, a low buzzing sound of surprise and consternation. Ziara's eyes were locked on Kale, a strange mixture of admiration and calculation in their depths. "Your methods are crude," she stated, almost a purr, "but effective. Perhaps there is more to your species than simple defiance." Kale wiped a smear of Dreg Hunter ichor from his brow. "Crude works, especially when you're fighting for your life. And there's always more to us, princess. You just gotta dig deep enough to find it." He watched the creatures, ready for the next move. This trial, whatever it truly was far from over. And for the first time since landing on this rock, Kale felt a sliver of hope. The Dreg Hunters attacked as one, a hissing wave of chitin and claws. Kale didn't hesitate. He lunged, using the still-stunned creature as a shield, letting its bulk absorb the initial impact. Ziara's mental pulse intensified. a subtle but potent tremor that threw the creatures off balance just enough for Kale to exploit. He moved with a brutal efficiency, honed from years of close-quarters combat in hostile environments. He wasn't graceful, but he was effective. A grunt, a shove, a twist. He leveraged a fallen dreg hunter's leg, snapping it with a sickening pop, turning it into a makeshift bludgeon. He didn't care about finesse, only survival. The air filled with the stench of ozone and alien blood. Ciara watched him, her golden eyes following his every brutal, desperate movement. Her earlier disdain had morphed into a focused intensity, a predatory interest that made the hair on Kale's arms stand on end. He could feel her power, a shimmering aura that seemed to hum just beneath his skin, influencing the creatures. She wasn't just observing. She was subtly aiding him, guiding his hits, protecting his blind spots. It was a strange, unspoken collaboration, a dance of primal survival. One dreg hunter lay twitching, its head crushed. Another was dismembered, its many legs splayed uselessly. Kyle stood over the last one, panting, its struggles weakening. He brought the broken limb down one last time, a final brutal blow. Silence, except for his ragged breathing and the low, stunned murmuring of the elders. He straightened, covered in alien ichor, his muscles screaming. He looked at Ciara, a bloody, defiant grin on his face. "Well, that good enough for your worthy meter?" Her eyes, still glowing faintly, held his. A shiver, not of fear but of raw awareness, went through him. "You are unlike any male I have observed," she stated, her voice a low purr. "Your aggression is untamed, your will unbroken, yet you respond to my influence." The elders were furious, their guttural shouts echoing in the sudden quiet. "He cheated, he is unworthy, the trial is corrupted." Kale laughed, a harsh, ragged sound. "Cheated? Lady, I just fought off a pack of your pet monsters with my hands tied. If that's cheating, then I'm a goddamn saint." He took a step towards her, ignoring the elder's rage. "So, are we done with the monster mash? Or do you have more creepy crawlies for me to beat into submission?" Her gaze intensified, locking onto his. A strange, almost magnetic pull. They say the human male has no mate sense, no resonance, yet I feel a reverberation within you, Kyle. She used his name, the first time she had. It sounded different coming from her, a ritualistic pronouncement. The elders' shouts grew louder. The claiming must proceed. He has aided her. He must claim her, or be sacrificed to the blood spires. Kyle blinked. Claim her? Sacrifice? Whoa, hold on a damn minute. What the hell are they talking about? He felt the heat in the arena increase, a new, oppressive weight. Ciara's eyes never left his. "The trial is complete, human. By aiding me, by surviving, you have presented yourself. To fail now is to be consumed. To claim me is to bind your fate to mine. It is the only way to escape this arena. And these elders. Claim you? Bind my fate? Lady, I don't even know your last name, and you want to talk about binding?" Kyle stammered, feeling a sudden, chilling dread creep up his spine that had nothing to do with the lava. He looked at the enraged elders, then back at Ciara, whose eyes held a desperate, raw plea beneath her dominant veneer. "Look, I just wanted to find some salvage, not get roped into some intergalactic arranged marriage/death ritual." Her hand, still partially bound, reached out, her fingers brushing his arm. The touch was electric, sending a jolt through him, and Kyle felt a sudden, fierce protectiveness well up. "There is no time for human customs, Kale," she whispered, her voice low and urgent. "They will tear us apart. You fought with me. You defied them with me. That makes you ours. By our law, by our blood, you must claim me, or we both perish." The elders were descending from their platforms, their numbers growing, their intent clear. They moved with a slow, deliberate menace, like a tide of ancient predatory judgment. One of them, older and more grotesque than the rest, raised a gnarled staff, its tip glowing with malevolent energy. "The unclaimed will be offered. To the spires with him. The defiant will be reforged." Ciara's grip on Kale's arm tightened, her fingers digging into his flesh. "They mean to break me, and you, to ensure I never challenge their rule again. Say the words, Kale, now." Kale's mind raced. Fight or die, claim or be consumed. There was no third option. His gaze swept the arena, a desperate assessment. He looked at the elders, their faces twisted with hatred. He looked at Ciara, her beautiful savage face etched with a desperate resolve. He had faced down worse odds, but never with a captive alien empress whose freedom, and his own, depended on some arcane sexual declaration. He let out a harsh laugh, a mix of genuine amusement and terrified resignation. All right, fine. You want me to claim you? What do I say? I call dibs on the curvy alien? Her eyes widened slightly, a flash of genuine confusion. Dibs? Is that the human mating call? Kale rolled his eyes. Something like that. Look, just tell me the ritualistic mumbo-jumbo before those walking gargoyles decide to turn us into ash. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched Ciara's lips, a flash of triumph. You will say you are mine by blood and by spirit, and I am yours, by challenge and by choice. Her voice dropped to a near whisper, a raw, sensual command. You will mark me, Kale, and then I will take my due. Kale felt a primal thrill, dangerous and exhilarating. The absurdity of it all was almost comical, but the stakes were deadly serious. He looked into her molten gold eyes, saw the challenge and the desperate, raw need for defiance reflected there. He felt the pull, the strange resonance that had started in the trial. It was a bond, forming whether he liked it or not. He took a deep breath. All right, Ciara, you're mine, by blood and by spirit, and I'm yours, by challenge and by choice. Now what's this marking thing, and can we do it later? Maybe in a place that's not actively trying to kill us. The elders roared, their fury escalating, but the words were out. The bond, the claiming, had begun. The instant the words left Kale's lips, a shockwave of energy, cold and raw, pulsed through the arena. The elders faltered, their shouts dying in their throats, replaced by gasps of disbelief. Ciara's eyes flared, a blinding golden light that seemed to encompass them both. Her chains without a visible trigger snapped, shattering into glittering fragments of pure energy. She was free. Kyle felt the shift, a profound, undeniable connection that wasn't just physical, but resonated deep within his bones. He knew her, on a level beyond words. Her defiance, her strength, her deeply buried vulnerability. And she knew him, his jaded sarcasm, his unexpected protectiveness, the weariness of a life lived on the fringes. The marking, Kyle, she said, her voice now a low, commanding purr imbued with newfound power. She gripped his arm, her alien touch surprisingly gentle, yet firm. Her skin, where it met his, began to glow with the same internal light that had shattered her chains. A strange, sharp sensation, like a dozen tiny needles, pricked his skin. He watched, fascinated, as intricate bioluminescent patterns began to appear on his forearm, mirroring the shifting designs on her own skin. It wasn't painful, not truly, but intensely intimate. He felt claimed, possessed. His gaze met hers, and in the depths of her golden eyes, he saw not just the Empress, but a raw, hungry desire that mirrored his own burgeoning need. What the hell is this? He whispered, his voice hoarse. A claiming human, a bonding, she replied, her words vibrating with ancient ritual. Her other hand, free now, slid around the back of his neck, her fingers tangling in his hair, pulling his head down. Her mouth descended, not quite a kiss, but a searing, open-mouthed press against his. Her tongue, surprisingly soft, tracing the line of his teeth, then dipping inside. Kyle gasped. The unexpected intimacy, the raw, aggressive nature of the contact, stunning him. He tasted her, something metallic and sweet like liquid starlight. His body, bruised and exhausted from the fight, responded with a sudden, aching intensity. He felt a primal heat ignite, spreading through his veins. The elders roared, their rage boiling over. She claims him. The outsider, the prophecy. This is an abomination. Kyle ignored them. His hands, still cuffed, found purchase on her hips, pulling her closer, pressing her soft, yielding body against his. He felt the exquisite curve of her form, the subtle shifts of her powerful muscles beneath his hands. The scent of her, alien and intoxicating, filled his senses. The marking on his arm pulsed, growing hotter, the lines spreading, deepening. It was more than a symbol. It was a physical manifestation of their new, undeniable connection. This wasn't just a claim. It was a promise of something far more visceral, something that echoed the ancient, powerful forces of this world. And she was right. He was hers. And she, in some strange, terrifying way, was his. The arena might be trying to kill them, but he suddenly didn't care. There was only her, and this raw, burning need. Her mouth still pressed against his, moved with an almost savage grace, coaxing, tasting. Cale, his mind reeling, responded with a desperate urgency, a primal hunger he hadn't known he possessed. Her tongue, slick and agile, delved deeper, exploring his mouth with a brazen curiosity that was both shocking and incredibly arousing. He felt the soft, yielding press of her breasts against his chest, the firm line of her hips under his hands. The heat from her body was a tangible thing, a wave of pure, unadulterated desire that swept away all thought, all caution. The bioluminescent patterns on his arm pulsed, mimicking the thrum of his own racing heart. He knew instinctively that this wasn't just physical, but a profound, resonant connection, a melding of two disparate beings. He could feel her thoughts, a swirling torrent of triumph, ancient satisfaction, and a raw, vulnerable yearning. Mine, finally, a challenge worthy of me. He moaned into her mouth, a low, guttural sound pulling her impossibly closer. His cuffed hands, still awkward, fumbled with the clasp of his utility belt, tearing at it. He needed more. He needed to touch her, to feel her bare skin against his. She broke the kiss, a sharp gasp of air, her molten eyes blazing with a fierce, untamed light. Her head tilted back, her throat arching, revealing the sleek, powerful line of her neck. "You burn with the resonance," she whispered, her voice husky, almost breathless. "The marking, it seals us." Her hands, free and strong, moved to his waist, her fingers expertly unfastening the stubborn buckles of his pants, pushing the fabric down, revealing him. A shiver tore through him. He was hard, aching, desperate. "Fuck," he gasped, his voice thick with desire. You're insane." "Only for what is mine," she purred, her eyes dropping to his arousal, a look of frank, calculating hunger in their depths. Her fingers closed around him, a hot, firm grip that made him cry out, a raw, animal sound he barely recognized as his own. She guided him, her movements confident, assertive as she shifted, pressing her full weight against him. Her legs parted, a soft give of inner thigh, and he felt the exquisite, wet heat of her. "This is how we seal the bond, Cale," she murmured, her voice laced with ancient knowledge and primal demand. She took him inside her, a slow, deliberate claiming, a profound act of possession that mirrored her earlier words. Cale roared, a mix of pain and pleasure, his body arching into hers. The fit was impossibly tight, searingly hot, like molten rock pouring into cool steel. He gripped her hips, his fingers digging into the firm flesh, riding the wave of pure, carnal sensation. Her internal muscles clenched around him, drawing him deeper, milking him with an exquisite pressure that threatened to shatter his control. The patterns on his arm blazed, and he felt a psychic jolt, a flash of her past, her longing for a mate worthy of her strength, her fury at the elders who sought to control her. He was seeing through her eyes, feeling her triumph, her surrender to this raw, unifying force. Her hips began to move, a slow, grinding rhythm, deliberate and powerful. She controlled the pace, taking him deeper, faster, until Cale was lost in a maelstrom of alien sensation, of primal urges, and of a bond that was now irrevocably etched into his very being. Her hips pumped, a powerful, rhythmic claim that rocked him to his core. Kyle could only grunt, his body responding purely on instinct, driving deeper into her, desperate for more. He felt her internal muscles clench and release, drawing him in, milking him, and he knew this wasn't just sex. This was a claiming, a ritual, a profound act of defiance against the world that sought to control her. He was hers, completely. He could feel it in the burning thrum of the marks on his arm, in the way her essence mingled with his, a searing, beautiful fusion. A psychic wave crashed over him, her primal thoughts flooding his mind. Mine, my mate, my power. He saw flashes of her world, ancient rituals, betrayed promises, the suffocating weight of the Elder's control. And then, a fierce, almost violent protectiveness for him, her newly claimed partner. He bucked against her, his hips driving, seeking that deeper connection, that complete fusion. Her moans were alien, guttural, a sound of profound pleasure and release. The air around them crackled with an almost visible energy. Kyle felt his climax building, a blinding, all-consuming fire. He cried out, his name for her a ragged sound, "Ciara," as he spilled into her, a primal release that echoed the force of his bonding. Her body seized around him, her own climax hitting like a lightning strike, a torrent of powerful, shuddering spasms that pulled him even deeper into her. The bioluminescent patterns on their skin flared, pulsed, then faded, leaving a faint, lingering glow. The psychic connection, though no longer a torrent, remained, a quiet hum in the background of his mind. He lay collapsed against her, panting, his head buried in her neck, inhaling her intoxicating alien scent. "God damn," he rasped, the word tasting like ash and triumph. "What the hell was that?" Ciara shifted beneath him, her body still trembling from the aftershocks of orgasm. Her fingers, no longer urgent, stroked his hair, a surprisingly tender gesture. "That, Kyle, was our bond, forged in defiance, sealed in the ancient way." She pushed him back gently, her golden eyes, though still alight, softer now, vulnerable in a way he hadn't seen before. "They wished to break me, to chain me to a male of their choosing. You chose me. You fought for me. That is a bond stronger than any they could have imposed." Her gaze drifted to the enraged elders who were now openly screaming, their faces contorted in fury. "Now, they will know my true power, my true claim." Kyle felt a surge of something new. Not just lust, not just survival, a fierce protective instinct. He was tired, sore, and probably just doomed himself to a life with an alien empress, but he was damned if he'd let those patriarchal bastards lay a hand on her. He pulled her closer, a possessive grip on her waist. "So, now what, princess? Do we make a run for it, or do we start an intergalactic war right here?" A faint, knowing smile touched her lips. "We show them, Kyle. We show them what happens when you underestimate a savage empress, and the human she claims. They will not forget this, Kyle. This defiance," Ciara stated, her voice calm, utterly resolute, even as the elders screamed threats from their platforms. She had dressed quickly, pulling on a simple dark garment that somehow made her appear even more regal, more dangerous. The marks on Kale's arms still pulsed faintly, a constant reminder of the intimate, chaotic bonding. He felt strangely grounded, despite the madness. Good. Let them not forget it. Maybe they'll think twice before throwing random humans into their weird sex trials next time, Kyle grumbled, pulling his own ripped clothes back on. He was sore, mentally fried, but the adrenaline from the encounter with the Dreg hunters and, well, her, kept him alert. He glanced at the elders. They were regrouping, their rage settling into a cold, dangerous resolve. "They look like they're planning a bigger party, or a ritual sacrifice of us both." Ciara stepped forward, her stance radiating authority. "They plan to reassert their control, to demonstrate the consequence of my choice. They believe they can still break me, even with the bond. They are fools." She turned to him, her eyes searching his. "You could abandon me, Kyle, flee. The bond, while potent, is not inescapable for a being of your species, if you truly wish to sever it." Kyle stared at her. "Flee? After all that? After feeling her inside him, after the raw power of their connection?" He shook his head, a wry grin touching his lips. "And miss the main event? Not a chance, princess. Besides, you branded me. That's gotta mean something, right? Like a warranty or something." He looked at the glowing marks on his arm. "Guess I'm stuck with you, for now. What do we do?" A glimmer of something akin to warmth, or perhaps approval, flashed in her eyes. "We show them the strength of our bond. The strength of true choice." She strode to the center of the arena, her voice echoing with a power that vibrated through the very stones. "Elders, you sought to control my destiny, to force me into servitude. You failed." Her gaze swept over them, burning with contempt. "This human, Kale, is no consort of your choosing. He is my mate, claimed by ritual, by defiance, and by the raw power of our united spirits. Kale felt a flush of heat. Mate. She said it publicly. The patriarchs recoiled, their ancient faces contorted. Blasphemy. You invite destruction, Ziara. You taint our bloodline. Taint? Ziara scoffed, a truly terrifying sound. I purify it. I bring new blood, new strength. Your withered customs have nearly extinguished the flame of our people. I am the Empress reborn. And Kyle is my first decree. She turned, beckoning him forward with a commanding gesture. Kyle didn't hesitate. He stepped to her side, his posture defiant, his eyes fixed on the elders. He felt a weird surge of pride, standing shoulder to shoulder with this savage empress. So, he drawled, a sarcastic smirk playing on his lips. Anyone else want to test the unworthy human? The elders, though enraged, seemed to hesitate, their resolve momentarily shattered by Ziara's sheer audacity and the undeniable proof of their bond. But Kale knew this was just the beginning. This kind of power shift didn't come without a price, a heavy, bloody price. The lead elder, ancient and withered, slowly raised a hand. Ziara, daughter of Ash, your defiance is noted, your claim acknowledged for now. But the traditions must be observed. The male must prove his worth in the trial of fire. Kale groaned. Seriously? More trials? Can't we just skip to the part where we go home and you teach me how to say pass the salt in whatever language you speak? Ziara merely gave him a sharp, knowing look. This is the final test, Kyle, and it is not for me. It is for them, to accept our union. She turned to the elders, her voice ringing with authority. Let the trial of fire commence. He will prove his worth not just to you, but to me. For if he fails, it is his fate alone that is forfeit. Kale felt a chill. She was playing a dangerous game, but he trusted her. He had to. He was marked. He was bound. The floor of the arena began to rumble again, and new fissures opened, spewing columns of molten rock into the air. The heat was immense, unbearable. Kale felt his skin prickle, the air searing his lungs. This was no symbolic fire. This was pure, unadulterated hell. From the fiery chasms, massive, armored creatures, composed of living magma and hardened obsidian, began to emerge. Lava golems. Kale swore under his breath. Oh, for fuck's sake. First bugs, now actual demons made of lava? What's next, space dragons? Ziara laid a hand on his arm, her touch cool against his burning skin. They are the guardians of the deep. They test the spirit, the will. Show them your defiance, Kale. Show them what you showed me. She stepped back, giving him space. But her presence was a palpable force, a silent wellspring of power he could draw from. He felt the mental hum of their bond, a subtle encouragement. He took a deep breath, the smell of sulfur and superheated rock filling his nostrils. His cuffed wrists throbbed. He looked at the lava golems, their forms shifting, glowing, menacing. His eyes narrowed. This wasn't just about proving himself to the elders. This was about proving himself to her, to the savage empress who had claimed him, who had trusted him with her defiance. He had to show her he was worth it. He felt the anger building, cold and hard. He wasn't a sacrifice, he was a survivor. And he was certainly not going to die in a glorified rock oven, not after everything. All right, you glorified paperweights, Kyle roared, his voice surprisingly strong, cutting through the crackle of the lava. Let's dance! He lunged, a desperate, defiant charge towards the nearest lava golem, his fists clenched, ready to face the impossible. He had nothing but his own stubborn will, and the strange, powerful bond to the alien empress watching him, her golden eyes blazing with fierce anticipation. Kyle slammed into the lava golem, the impact jarring his teeth, the heat radiating off its body almost unbearable. His fists, though cuffed, hammered against its hardened surface, chipping off shards of obsidian. It was like punching a mountain. He swore, a stream of colorful profanity, then ducked under a slow, sweeping arm, the molten rock dripping from its joints. He felt Ziara's presence, not as a psychic torrent this time, but a calm, unwavering force through their bond, urging him, guiding him. Find the weakness. All things have a core. He thought of her words, her strength. He wasn't fighting alone. He was fighting for her, with her. in a way that transcended physical touch. He dodged another ponderous blow, feeling the rush of superheated air as the golem's fist struck the ground where he'd been, leaving a smoking crater. He noticed something. The golems were slow, but their attacks were devastating. Their weakness, as Yara had hinted, had to be in their construction, their core. He saw a faint, brighter glow at the center of the creature's chest, like a beating heart. That was it. He had to get to it. "You guys are all guts and no brains, huh? Just like every other pissed-off male I've met," he yelled, rolling away from a stomping foot. He needed an opening. He needed a way to penetrate that hardened shell. He spotted a loose, jagged piece of obsidian that had broken off the arena wall from an earlier tremor. It was razor-sharp, glinting in the lava light. Not ideal, but it was something. He feigned a dodge, then sprinted, grabbing the rock. It was hot, burning his palm, but he held on. He spun, driving the improvised blade into the golem's leg, not to injure, but to create a pivot point. The golem roared, momentarily off balance. This was his chance. He scrambled up its leg, ignoring the searing heat, clinging to the rough, rocky surface. He was a human burr, climbing the side of a living volcano. The golem thrashed, trying to dislodge him, but Kyle was tenacious. Years of clinging to cargo hulls and derelict ships had trained him for this. He reached the creature's chest, the core glowing fiercely beneath a thin layer of obsidian. He raised the jagged rock, took a deep breath, and plunged it into the glowing heart of the lava golem. The creature shrieked, a sound of pure agony, and then exploded into a shower of molten rock and superheated steam. Kyle was thrown back, landing hard on the arena floor, coughing, singed, but alive. He looked up, his body aching, his vision blurred. Ziara stood at the edge of the pit, her face a mask of pride and fierce satisfaction. The elders watched in stunned silence. He had done it. He had passed the trial of fire. He was worthy. And she, the Empress, had chosen him, the jaded human. Kale pushed himself up, every muscle screaming in protest. He spat out a mouthful of ash and dust, a triumphant if weary grin splitting his face. "One down, you molten motherfuckers. Who's next?" The remaining lava golems, seemingly stunned by the demise of their comrade, shifted uneasily. The elders, however, found their voices, their shouts a mixture of outrage and disbelief. He is a demon. He defies the very earth." Ziara stepped forward, her voice cutting through the arena like a razor. "He defies your control, elders. He embodies the spirit of our people, the true fire that you sought to extinguish." She extended a hand towards Kale, her posture imperious, demanding. He walked towards her, not as a prisoner, but as an equal, a partner. The bond hummed between them, a silent testament to their shared ordeal. He was still Kale, the sarcastic, jaded bounty hunter, but something fundamental had shifted. He was now irrevocably linked to this powerful, beautiful alien. As he reached her, Ziara took his hand, her touch firm and possessive. She turned to the crowd of elders, her eyes blazing with newfound authority. "You demanded proof of worth. He has provided it. You demanded a ritual union. It has been sealed, not by your will, but by ours." She raised their joined hands. The glowing marks on his arm pulsed brightly, undeniable proof of their bond. "He is Kale, my mate, my choice. And by his strength and by my will, I reclaim my birthright." The elders fell silent, their ancient power momentarily eclipsed by her audacious declaration. This wasn't just a challenge. It was a coup. Ciara had leveraged the chaos, her forced trial, and Kale's unexpected intervention to seize control, reasserting her dominance. "Your rule ends here," she declared, her voice ringing with the finality of ancient law. "The age of patriarchal subjugation is over. A new age begins. An age of strength, of choice, and of true resonance." Kyle just stood there, letting her take the lead, a strange sense of satisfaction settling over him. He was tired of running, of fighting for credits. This was a different kind of fight, a different kind of life. And for the first time in a long time, he felt something akin to purpose. The remaining lava golems, their purpose seemingly lost, began to sink back into the lava chasms, their forms dissolving. The arena, once a place of torment, was now a stage for triumph. Ziara tightened her grip on his hand, a silent command. Come, Kyle. We have much to do, and a world to reshape. He looked at her, this savage empress who had claimed him, and who somehow he had come to claim back. Yeah, Empress, just try not to get me incinerated on the first day, all right? I'm still figuring out this whole mate thing. He could have sworn he saw a faint, almost mischievous smile touch her lips. The future was uncertain, dangerous, and likely filled with more bizarre alien rituals and explosive confrontations. But with her by his side, Kale knew one thing. It wouldn't be boring. And for a jaded bounty hunter, that was more than he could have ever asked for.